Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far. So today I'm going to be trying out the brand new quad from Charlotte Tilbury in the shade Fire Rose. As soon as I saw this, I needed it, wanted it, was desperate to try it. I was very excited to hear that there was a brand new formula in here. This pop shade is a brand new formula for Charlotte Tilbury, but these tones in general, it was really speaking to me. I was very excited to get hold of it and try it out for you guys. So that's what we're going to do today. And as requested, I'll be taking you through some of the comparisons with the existing Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize in case you already own this palette, and seeing if there are any dupes or similar shades in here. I had a look through the Pillow Talk palette, but there's nothing in there that's kind of similar. This is the one where a few similarities lie. So we'll do some comparisons and swatches at the end in case you are wondering whether you need this one if you already own the Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize. So this palette is now out. It is £40 here in the UK. 4 shades, as I already said, 1 brand new formula, 1 matte, 2 softer shimmers and 1 metallic pop shade, which is the new formula. It's kind of a berry rose toned palette. Obviously it is going to be pretty limited as far as how many looks you can get out of this palette, given that there are only 4 shades. And for me at least, it kind of leans more so evening, more glam than it does necessarily daytime soft glam. So that is kind of my initial thoughts. This is a limited edition part of their holiday collection, so we're not really sure how long this will be around for, whether it will be a long drawn out limited edition that returns at some point. I know it's been incredibly popular, so perhaps it will become permanent, but right now it's a limited edition part of her holiday 2020 collection. So I will show you some swatches. Bear in mind that the Charlotte Tilbury mattes do not swatch very well in my experience. They perform much better on the eyes than they do with finger swatches. As you can see here, that matte does not swatch very well. So without further ado, let's try this little bad boy out on my eyes and see what we think. So starting off with the matte shade, the 1 matte shade in the palette. And this is my Rephr 16 brush, and we're going to go all in the crease with this shade. It's definitely a super buildable shade, so you can wear it very softly or you can build up. So I feel like this palette, for that reason, will work nicely on lots of skin tones. You see how much extra pigment you can build there. Just 1 extra dab. I'm also taking this all over the lid as well, so we can have that sort of spotlight effect. Then with my Rephr 15 brush, I'm going into this rose gold, softer shimmer at the top. Just applying that to like the outer 2/3 of the eye to give us some dimension. This is definitely a softer shimmer versus that pop shade. Kind of avoiding this inner part of the eye. And then I'm going to take the pop shade on my MAC 242 and we're going to whack this straight in the center of the lid. That is flipping glorious. And we're taking that right up, almost like the brow. I saw Sonia Tilbury doing a look like this with a couple of other palettes and I died. This is like just perfect. I love this type of look. Then I'm going to take the other shimmer, the other softer shimmer in the palette on the same brush and go into the inner corner to brighten that up. Same shade's going to go on my brow arch. You can see the peachiness in there. Very pretty shade. I'm going to go in on my Bristles EO3 DM and back into that matte shade for the lower lash line. And then I'm going to use this little flat brush from Bristles. This is the P06 RF, and I'm going to go back into that pop shade. And I'm going to stamp this in the middle of my lower lash line so it kind of matches up with the top of the lid. Do the same on the other eye and then I'll be back. Okay, so here are the finished eyes with mascara and everything all finished. I love how this turned out. I definitely feel like this is a more sort of glam palette than like an everyday rushing out the door type of palette, but you could definitely tone things down, you know, using softer techniques and using less of the matte. But I think it's super pretty and right up my street as far as colours. Perfect for this time of year, like New Year's, Christmas. I think it's beautiful. So I thought I'd look through my collection and see if I have anything similar to the shades that we have in this little quad. So looking at this is the Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize palette. This shade I wondered if would be similar to the matte in here, so let's see. So this is Bejeweled Eyes and this is Fire Rose. Fire Rose definitely deeper. Yeah, I guess used on the eye, they're gonna pull pretty similar. The Bejeweled Eyes is a little like brighter and more of that sort of red versus like the burgundy berry tone in Fire Rose, but they're definitely gonna pull pretty similar on the eye. And then the top shade, the softer shimmer shade, I'm going to compare to this shade at the bottom here in that same Bejeweled Eyes to Mesmerize palette. So this is Fire Rose and this is the Bejeweled Eyes. Again, they're definitely different, but they're not a million miles away. The Bejeweled Eyes is browner and they've definitely a bit more of a sort of rosy tone to the Fire Rose shade. And now for this top like pinky rose shade, I'll be comparing that to this shade out of the Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize. These are probably the closest yet, I would say. So as you're looking at my arm, to remind you, the first swatch is always the Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize, the larger palette, the existing holiday palette, and the second swatch is always Fire Rose. So that's Fire Rose, Fire Rose, and Fire Rose. So I think between these two, I mean, they're almost, you can barely tell a difference. Maybe the Fire Rose is slightly lighter, but definitely an almost dupe there. And last but not least, the pop shade. This is the new formula from Charlotte Tilbury. The only shade I really can compare it to, although it doesn't look that similar, is this one. It's the lightest shimmer in this palette, but definitely don't think these two are going to be similar. Yeah, so I think you can see they're not particularly similar. The shade from Bejeweled Eyes much more gold, and the shade from Charlotte Tilbury much more rose, and just way, way brighter. As you can see, that new formula, much more brighter and metallic looking than any of the other shimmers. So that's kind of the closest shades that I have in my collection from Charlotte Tilbury, and you know, there's a couple of closer shades, a couple that are further apart, but yeah, I mean, not a million miles away if you already own the Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize palette. So there you have it. I love this little palette. I think it's so beautiful and pretty. I think it'd be an amazing Christmas gift or stocking filler or something like that to ask for Christmas. If you already own the Bejeweled Eyes to Hypnotize, I think there are a couple of similar-ish shades, but it's definitely not duped within that palette for me. It's definitely like a standalone palette, and I think the new formula is glorious. I think I'm really happy with how my makeup turned out today, and these are definitely my type of shades. I feel like although this is kind of, I guess, an autumn winter palette in theory, I will wear these tones all year round. Obviously you can make this lighter and brighter without using the bronzy shade. Like I think if I just went in with the matte and one of the pop shades without using this one, if I use these shades all over my lid, it would be lighter and brighter and maybe more spring friendly. So I think it's quite versatile as far as a quad goes. Obviously there's only so versatile a quad can be. I think it's super pretty. I didn't have any issues with it. I also really didn't get any fallout with these shadows, which I feel is a real winner, because lots of these palettes, especially with the shimmers, especially with the pop shade, I was really expecting to get like loads of fallout, particularly because I did a bit of a halo eye, because I used some shimmer on my lower lash line. You'd expect it to kind of be all over your whole face, and it really wasn't. There was really no, like maybe a speck or two that I couldn't notice, but there really was no fallout from the matte and the lesser shimmers, the softer shimmers, and the pop shade itself. Really no noticeable fallout that I could spot whatsoever, which is a real bonus for lots of people. I think everything turned out beautifully, and I was super happy with all of the shades. So there you have it. I hope you found this helpful, and I would love to see you in the next video. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.